Hey everybody, I'm Kristian Harloff.
And I'm Tiffany Smith from Movie Clips, and this is our very special edition. This is our spoiler-heavy review of Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
I think we should yell this as loud as we can so they know. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Spoilers! Let's talk about this movie as far as what you liked. Give me some of the things that you really enjoyed about this movie. First of all, did you like the movie?
I loved the movie. It was everything that I wanted. If I'm getting nitpicky, there were little things that I would want to change.
And it's easy to nitpick
tiny
for
things.
sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. But this feels like a Star Wars film. Star Wars is back.
It did. Everything seemed lived in, just like the original trilogy, and JJ made a point of doing that. There were a lot of practical effects. There's only one usage of CGI that really bothered me in this movie, and it's when Han Solo, right before he gets the Millennium Falcon back.
You know, in the originals, when they do the Jabba stuff with CGI, and a lot of people didn't like it, it felt like that.
It did feel like that. It felt like special edition,
Yeah.
but they got away from it, too.
The other thing I will say about that scene, though, that bummed me out a little bit was the fact that we have the actors from The Raid in this movie. We'd heard so much about them getting cast, and I was expecting to see these epic battles with them, and it was in and out really quickly.
Yeah, and we don't know necessarily if they helped choreograph some of the fights or things that happened too, but yeah, you're right. There are a couple of people, I think that's just, look, this is what we'll do first. We'll hit on some of the things maybe we didn't like first, because we're sure going to gush about it a little later. You talk about how the Raid guys were underused. There were two other people I thought were underused. One of those was Max von Sydow.
I knew you were going to say
He shows up, gives a great speech to Kylo Ren about finding Luke Skywalker, the Jedi. To Poe.
Not Kylo.
Sorry, to Poe about Luke Skywalker, and then he's just dead. Kylo kills him, it's over, you're out. Captain Phasma's another one.
Yeah.
She's in, and then she's out of the movie. She's not dead, she's out.
This movie had a lot of catching up to do, because not only is it 30 years between the last film and this one that they had to catch us up on, but they had to catch us up on all the new characters. They had to catch us up on where all the characters we know and love have been for the past 30 years. So some of those scenes and some of those characters that we didn't get a ton of time with, I feel like it was because this movie is building the world. And that's where I will say, it does an incredible job of it.
Yes, that's the point that I think is the major point here, is this movie is playing for the long game. And that's what I loved about it. Even though maybe some of the things weren't necessarily all the way set up, they will be set up in episode 8 and episode 9. And I thought one of the things they did really well, Rey. Daisy Ridley is
I got my Ray buns going today.
Oh man, she is so good. She is, for a girl that's only been on a set for 2 weeks in her lifetime besides this. And I called it in my speculation video that she was going to be Luke Skywalker's daughter, and it certainly seems like she is Luke Skywalker's daughter.
It certainly seems that way, because Maz Kanata basically says the lightsaber found Luke's grandfather, found Luke, and then has apparently found Rey.
I love that vision of Rey when it took us back in a little bit of history, and I love the opening crawl when you see episode 7, and when you see that this is what's going to happen, and that the movie is about the search for Luke. Some people are going to be upset that Luke is the very last shot and you only see him. I loved it. I think it sets you up so well for episode 8, and it really gets you going. And the Kylo Ren stuff, I thought was handled great.
I will say my two favorite characters, I think, coming out of this movie would have to be Poe Dameron and Kylo Ren. I feel like for both of them, they felt very grounded in the world, and for some of the other characters, it felt like they were still learning, and we got that in the trailer. And I'm not saying it wasn't something they were trying to do, because for Finn and for Rey, it was learning about all this whole new world again. But for those two characters, they've been a part of it. Like, Kylo has been with the First Order for a long time, and he knows what's going down, and he knows Darth Vader, and he knows that the Force is real.
He's a history buff.
And Poe, on the same token, like, he has been with the Resistance for a while, so he knows that the Force is real, and he knows what they're really up against. Kylo is trying to earn his place and trying to prove that he really is from the dark side, because he is
Well, I don't know if he is.
Han and Leia's son.
Right,
he is their son.
Right. He's Han and Leia's son for sure. And
you're like, I don't know if he is. I'm like, no.
I thought you were referencing Plagueis.
No.
The question is why. I still want to know. There's so many questions now that come before, like how Kylo Ren was recruited, how he turned to the dark side, all that, and how he left his parents. And this is the major spoiler right now that everyone's going to be talking about once they've seen this movie, and that is Han Solo. We thought he was going to be toast. It's kind of a choreographed death. You know that it's coming.
It's a little bit telegraphed.
But it still got me emotionally because after he goes, and he's just kind of discarded like trash, which is like, oh, that was painful to me. But when Chewie starts the crossbow and taking everybody out, and then Finn and Rey, who just met Han, really, they have an emotional attachment to it. that was a goodbye to a character. And by the way, I also said that Han and Leia wouldn't be together in this, and you told me I was nuts.
You're right.
Aha!
I think that was something for me that would have made losing Han even more emotional if they had still been if they were still together.
She felt it though. That
she
got me.
She definitely did.
I love how she tuned into the Force, by the way.
Well, and that's the other thing. They don't talk about that in this movie.
I'm okay with that.
We don't know if she got trained at all. We don't know if she really knows how to use the Force in any stronger of a way than when we see Han die and you flash to her because she's not there.
Right.
It's not like they have comms in saying what's going on, but she looks in the camera and you're just like, which I will say, Carrie Fisher on the carpet has been kooky pants, but in this movie, she is Leia.
Yep, she is
General Leia.
All of the characters were,
General
for sure.
Organa.
And I thought Akbar did the best job of returning.
Talked about in the opening crawl that it is the search for Luke. The First Order has taken over, and they're like, the only way to balance the Force is to find the last Jedi.
Yeah.
Who is Luke Skywalker, who when he left was training a bunch of new Jedi, including Ben Solo.
It's very similar to what happened with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, as where Anakin went off on the dark side and wiped out all the Jedi. It looks like Kylo Ren, Ben went to the other side and wiped out all the Jedi as well, and now Luke's on his own. Personally, I think that Rey has been a strong Jedi for a long time. I think that's why she's able to tap in to the Force really easily.
Yeah.
That's why she's so good with the lightsaber. I think that Luke was using some kind of powerful mind trick to keep her hidden, to keep her powers hidden, and it's coming back to her like
But
that.
I don't even know if it was that because she didn't believe in it. She didn't know it was there. And so it's like sometimes when you think about, there's something there that's always been helping you, but you're unaware of it. But once you're aware and you can tap into it, that's when everything starts happening. Because yes, she is pretty clever. She can find things. She is a great scavenger. She's a great fighter. And that's without her knowing she can tap into the Force.
One of the questions for me is obviously what happens with Rey and Luke. Rey is there. Is Luke Rey's father? Is he going to become her teacher? What is going to happen?
Well, he's definitely going to become her teacher.
You think?
Absolutely. I think the big question is, who the freak is Supreme Leader Snoke?
Right.
And what is the relationship to Kylo Ren?
What does he want?
What does he want? What is his relationship then with Phasma and Hux? Because I feel like we've met a lot of these big villains, but we don't know what the driving force behind all of it is. And at the end of the film, Snoke basically says to Hux, get Kylo, we need to start working on our next thing. And you're like, what is the next thing?
Yeah.
And the other big question that we're left with is Finn.
Right.
When the film ends, Rey basically says, I hope to see you again. You don't know. He's not awake. He's been injured. So that to me is something that's going to be pretty interesting.
I also want to know like what was going on in his head before that.
But see, I felt like that scene to me, he's still in the stormtrooper suit, but you see him like hesitating, and even that moment when Kylo looks at him, that I'm like, Kylo could have put something into his, or was definitely looking into his mind,
right.
But it's like, who knows what he put in there or what he saw, and just the bloody hand across his helmet, I think was what did it for him, where he's like, why are we slaughtering these people? What is going on here?
Right.
I don't know why, I just grew up into this. And he says later on in the film that this was his first time going out. Like,
right.
That was his first time really seeing the brutality of the First Order.
Well, I also want to see what's going to happen with Leia. We mentioned as far as, are we going to learn about her Force abilities? We certainly see that she can tap into it still as she feels it when Han goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is her role in all of this? She basically leads the Resistance, which is a faction of the Republic, which we have found out in this movie the Republic does exist. I assume we're going to learn more about the Republic.
And, I mean, seeing where Maz Kanata ends up.
Right.
Her entire castle was destroyed.
And she was like, I love the way she just brushed it off.
Yeah, we see her. She's like, go find Rey because she needs you to fit.
Yeah.
Had she known where Luke was this whole time, and because she's the one with the lightsaber, and she said, I've been holding on to this.
Right. Another thing is Chewie. Where does Chewie go now? He doesn't seem like he's going with Rey. Does he stay with Leia? Like, where does he go? Does he go off on his own? That's a big question.
Yep. I think something that a lot of people forget, mostly because of what happened in the prequels, is that the original films were really funny. They had really quick one-liners. Han Solo had most of them. In this film, there's a lot of characters that actually have them. And one of the biggest ones that stood out for me was the moment when Kylo and Poe Dameron meet for the first time. And Poe's standing there, and they're both looking at each other, and he's like, well, this is awkward. Who's going to talk first? Are you going to talk first? Am I going to talk first?
Yeah, I love that. That was really fun. For me, it's still Han and Chewie. Like, when Chewie's out, they're at the end, and they're on the ice planet, and he's just like, oh, are you cold? Like, and Han says that to Chewie.
Yeah.
Like, that type, the banter that they have, they still have it. The humor did work for me for the majority of this movie. The one thing that I was worried about was a couple times it seemed like they were just giving lines to everyone, where they should have maybe like just for character.
Made it a little more heavy on one character.
And I think I know why they did it, because Poe was only in the movie for like the beginning and like the end, so he's not in it enough to give him the lines. So then they gave a lot of it to Finn, which I thought worked. But then there's Han Solo there as well. And I just was like, okay, let's not turn it into a comedy show. And they got away from it. So, but I thought the humor did work. I think sometimes it maybe was a little out of place, but overall, I'd say that 80% of it worked.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
What moment made you get really emotional?
The Han thing.
Just the Han moment.
That was the main thing too, because even though I saw it coming, we're never going to see him again in a Star Wars movie.
So obviously I gotta say a massive, huge, gigantic thank you to J.J. Abrams for this one, because not only was it an incredible undertaking to do, he had to make sure that fans were excited about it after what we had for the prequels. He had to make sure that people felt like their characters that they loved were honored when one of the main one dies. Like, to kill a main character like that is a huge thing to take on.
You can tell he's a fan because he went back and wrote it with Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote Empire Strikes Back, and he went and he had these conversations with him and went to the true spirit of what Star Wars is. You felt it that it was a love letter. Even though there's a lot of similarities with Episode 4, it was still a love letter to the franchise, and I think that that's what J.J. Abrams, as a screenwriter, as a filmmaker, as a fan, brought to the table. And thank you for watching our spoiler-heavy review of The Force Awakens. Now it is up to you guys. Tell us exactly what you thought of the movie. Did you like? What didn't you like? Do it. Let us know.
And before we go, I just want to say a huge, huge thank you to J.J. Abrams, Disney, and Lucasfilms, because mind blown, so happy, such a Star Wars fan, geek girl, tears.
Thank you guys very much, and only one thing needs to be said. You will share this video.
I don't think that worked. Let me try. You will share this video.
I think that worked.
It did.
Don't look at me.
I'm a Jedi. What can I say?